Finding percent of a number. So we're going to look at how to find a percent using percent tables, how to turn a fraction into a percent and into a decimal. I think this triangle theory really helps us understand how to make these numbers into percents. So percent means per 100. So you know it refers to a number out of 100. So anytime you have 100, that also represents your whole. So if I were a decimal, my 100 would be 1. If I had a fraction, my 100, my whole, would be whatever number is on the bottom. And again, my percent, my number, my whole is going to be 100%. So let's practice with just any number here. We're going to go with 3/8. Alright, 3/8. So what I need to do is turn the fraction into a decimal first. So if I have a fraction, I know that the top number can be divided by the bottom number. So 3 divided by 8, and that's going to turn us into a decimal. So if we have a calculator handy, we could do it really quick here. 3 divided by 8. And a calculator pops up here. 3 divided by 8. And you get 0.375. So your decimal, fraction to decimal, is going to go 0, 0.375. Okay, now we already discussed that a decimal is a number out of 1. So your whole for a decimal that is less than 1 is going to have a 0 in front of it, knowing that 1 will be your whole for this decimal. So we need to turn the decimal into a percent, and we know that percent is a number out of 100. So we're going to take our decimal, 0.375, and we're going to multiply that by 100. Okay, and 0.375 times 100, and you're going to end up with 37.5%. So on the next slide, we have finding the percent of a number or a fraction. So we kind of go over that basic principle of fraction to decimal to percentage. Now you're not going to always see it in that pretty little order, so we have to kind of do a little finding out for ourselves. So we have 5% of 50. Okay? So our whole is going to be 50, and we know we need a number that's out of 50. If we take 5%, we need to turn that into a decimal. So we're going backwards. If you look here, decimal to percent, you're timesing it by 100. So if you're going backwards, you need to divide 5 divided by 100. And you're going to get, forgive my squiggly lines, 0.05. Okay, so 0.05. Now all we need to do is find out what our percentage out of, or what number represents 5% of 50. I need to know if I have 50 people in a class, I need to know the 5% of the people who had pens on the assessment. So what I'm going to do is multiply my 0.05 times 50. Because I need the percent of that number. That number is my whole. I don't need to worry about a fraction because they're not here. So 0.05 times 50 is going to be, and we'll pull out our handy dandy calculator here. Times 50, and you're going to get an answer of 2.5. Okay? This is a 2. What percent of 50 is 23? So we need to know what percent of 50 is 23. Well, we know that a percent is a number out of 100. So we have 23, and we need to take that and divide it by 100. And we're going to get an answer of 0.23. I'm going to get 0.23. And then we have to look and see what we multiply this by. So I'm looking at my whole, and my whole is going to be 50, so I'm going to multiply 0.23 by 50, and I'm going to get my percentage. And that's going to equal, let's get the calculator, 0.23 divided by 50. And then 0.046, I divided it, so multiplied. So instead of that, you're going to go 0.23 times 50. You get 11.5. Okay, on your own, find the percent from 5/8. And then when you're finished, raise your hand and check with me, or Mrs. Pantzer, or the teacher. So, Leah took Marie out for dinner. The bill was $35. If Leela gives the waiter a 15% tip, how much will she write on the tip line? I'm going to do my best to make straight lines for a chart here. Okay, so we want to know how much she will write on the tip line. This is going to be the best way to organize our prices. So we know our 100% is here, and that's going to be subtotal. Okay, and for time's sake, I'm just going to write an S for subtotal. Tip is going to be right here. So generally a tip means you're going to get more than what you originally were charged. So the tip is a markup, and we know that it's going to be a percent. And we know that it's 15%. And then our total here is going to be 115%. So we basically are looking to see what 115% of 35 is. So now we have our $35 here, and I want to make sure we're working with money here. So $35, that goes in this line here. And I want to find 15% of that. So I take 15 divided by 100, and I'm going to get 0.15. And then I get 0.15 here. I'm just going to put the answer down here. This is a good way to organize it so that you guys kind of keep yourself out of this box, because a lot of people are tempted to put that 0.15 in this box, but we have one more step to take. We multiply the 0.15 and we multiply it by 35. We got to get this waiter a good tip. All right, and we'll take our calculator out. 0.15 times 35, and we're getting 5.25. So this person is leaving a $5.25 tip for the waiter. And we're asking about the total now. So the question here is, what does she write on the tip line? That is a 2. So she writes $5.25 on the tip line. So this is answering part A of the question. All right, and for part B, we simply add these two up. So we have 35 plus 525. And your total answer is going to be, I'm going to write the answer up here. $40.25. I think the biggest mistake happens in that middle box. So two things you need to watch out for. Find out if this is a markup or a markdown problem. A tip or tax usually is a markup problem. Sale or discount or anything like that is a markdown. And remember, you need to take 2 steps before you put any number into this middle box. And I'll put my $sign here to make sure that I'm answering the question appropriately. All right, so I'm looking at a markdown problem, and for some reason there's not a sale price there, so we're going to put $40 here. So we could do the whole markdown box, but we're really ending at the end of it. So we have the whole price already done, and so this is our 40 is going to be in our total. And we're saying that it's 40% off. So I'm looking here. I'm going to make my box around my 40. And we need to know what the original price of the shirt was. So we have our little box here. And we have 40% here for our sale. And it's a markdown and 100%. So if I have a markdown problem, am I subtracting or adding? Markdown means I'm going to take away 40%. So 60% is the total I'm looking for. All right? So you could do the whole thing. You could find out what that sale is and how much money is being taken off your 40, or you could take your 60% and use the number 40 with that. So what we could do, first we're going to take our 60 and turn it into a decimal. By dividing it by 100. And we're going to get 0.6. Okay? So we have percentages, and we're used to multiplying by our decimal to get the percentage of a small number. So we're always used to getting that smaller number. But for a markdown, and if we have the lower value already, chances are we multiplied a number by 0.40 to get this. So what we're going to do is divide 40 by 0.60. That way we're going to get a larger number, since we're doing the opposite. And 40 divided by 0.6 is going to be, let's clear that. You're going to end up with 66.6 repeating. So I'll say $66.67. And you could subtract the two numbers and get a difference of 26. You saved $26.67 on this shirt. Okay? So that's kind of how you do a markdown problem. Just remember, if you're starting with a lower number, you have to make sure you take that percentage, divide the lower number to get the larger number, to find out what 40 is 60% of 66.67. All right? When you're finished, make sure you have the teacher check your notes, and then you can work on practice problems.